Hello once again, welcome to Let's Talk Marriage. Today we are addressing the topic, managing your expectations. What are your expectations? What were your expectations before you got married? What expectations did you bring into your marriage? That maybe they're fantasies or they're real or they're whatever they are. That's what we're going to talk about today. And we will be looking at examples of expectations, and we'll be talking from our own experience too of what the expectations we brought in and how it worked or didn't work for us. So here, welcome, Sam, to today's talk. Discussion.
Thank you all. You're welcome. My pleasure to be here again.
Thank you. Kofo, welcome.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here too.
Yinka, welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for inviting me again.
And for all of you who are watching, welcome to the show.
Okay.
All right, so let's begin. Managing your expectation. What were your expectations? So we're going to start by giving us an example of an expectation you had before you got married.
Very good question for me to start with tonight or today. I would say I'm not a very good example on this question. Why? Because virtually everything I came into my marriage with, every expectation, honestly speaking, have been met. But I think I can trace back and identify where and how. And what makes this unique is that we both come from a similar background, similar cultural environment, but above all, we came from the same position of being first on both sides. And you know, from cultural background, firstborn on both sides, the renewed firstborn. The older ones are either gone or they're different.
No.
But anyway, we at our point in marriage, we were like firstborn on both sides. So we're being treated like, hey, bros, you know,
big
brother, big sister. So out of respect, not out of worship. And if you carry that air into marriage, if you're not careful to manage it, that expectation, it might cause friction. So quickly, and then we had a good number of our siblings with us at takeoff in marriage. So that made it quite a trial platform. But we want to thank God and the Holy Spirit for helping us to quickly identify the potential challenge ahead. And He gave us the wisdom to say, you know what, you just humble yourself and treat everybody as a team. And that was what did it. We just calmed down. Hey, everybody just became a team. We were like a team in a house. To the point that when we were leaving to relocate to another place, another city entirely, it was really, really very emotional for all of us. We've bonded more, got to know each other better, and thankfully to God, that particular atmosphere still exists into today. So that's the only thing I would say may appear as if, but guess what? If I went into that marriage and I'm expecting both herself, her siblings to treat me like a super god, big brother, and her husband are looking up to her to say, look up to her to visit her. There'll be friction between the two of us, friction between them as our siblings, and that's a breakdown of law and order. So I want to thank God for that management of expectations.
That is
only
that
God
is
who
God.
did it. Yes.
Any expectation that you're happy with or not?
Yeah, first of all, I remember when we were going to get married and I went to see one of my big aunties. She was actually my teacher when I was in the elementary school, but we had kept a relationship and she just loved me. You know, she was really kind and good to me. So I went to see her when I was going to get married. And I was shocked at the counsel that she gave me. She said, Kofo, don't expect too much in that marriage. And honestly, my heart I was shocked because I thought I'm signing my whole life out and I'm not supposed to expect anything from it. I couldn't take that. But you see, that's what worked for them at that time, that you come into the marriage, whatever you see, you get, and all that. Yeah, for me, my expectation was I wanted a man over my head. I wanted somebody that would be wise, that will give me counsel, you know, that will be there for me, that will love me in spite of whoever I was. And I also want to do the same. But, you know, when we got into the marriage, just like he said, that issue of him being a firstborn and me being a firstborn where I'm coming from actually affected me, because I didn't want to do things around, you know, between the two of us. I just felt that because I'm used to getting somebody
being
do
in
things,
charge,
being in charge, right? And then now somebody is in charge, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, my goodness, I've lost my freedom.
I've lost my place.
I don't have a life anymore because it's like I have to. I thought it was like, who am I anymore? I don't even have anything anymore. Yeah, and like he said, we realized it. Because I remember then, you know, we were at the beginning of the very beginning, we got married in a very far away place from home. And we will fight and we will quarrel, you know, just because I just didn't feel like,
believe it or not.
Really, that I just don't feel like, I don't feel like cooking, I don't feel like doing anything, I don't, you know, you should be able to do it anyway. So we sat down. I remember one day, because for about 3 days we were bearing malice. We did believe that. And we went and sat down together and talked about it, that, you know, we're both nice, we're both good people, so what's the problem? Why can't we just, you know, live together? We have good relationship with people, his colleagues, you know, and all that. And so somehow we resolved, okay, let's let's manage ourselves better. And we went back home that night. And I believe that really helped us to manage our expectations, you know, like you said.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What about you?
Yes, I expected a lot. I can say that because I read a lot before marriage, and I know that after the wedding comes the marriage, and that with the marriage there's going to be friction.
Yep.
So my expectation is that I pray that I'll be patient enough, you know, and of course, you are from Venus, right? I'm from Mars, so of course there was a clash of always a clash of titans, even if love lives in the house. But my expectation is fulfilled in the sense that my expectation is that as time goes on, we'll get better, and we are better, and we'll continue to improve each day. You know, so I was expecting it wasn't going to be that it's like going to the moon, right? We're going to the moon, but the takeoff could be rough at times. But after a while, the spaceship will start coming down, and that's what happened on both sides, you know, I think.
Yeah. I'm just going to be real here, okay? So I came with expectation that our relationship will remain the same as it was when we were dating. Dating. I remember my one of my brother-in-law told me that, oh, you think that's the way he's going to continue to do when you get married? I said, why not? He's not going to change. And lo and behold, it was happening. Like, I called him, I said, did you tell him to change or something? So sometimes, you know, it can happen. Some things happen where you find that you can't do the same things you
been doing before.
Before the marriage, and it's just different roles, different approaches need to be put. Like, for instance, when we were going to talk more about dating and marriage, and at some point, but sometimes the dating season is different when you get married. Like, as I heard someone say, this TV show, the guy was asking this lady that what happened, because she was saying, oh, we were so doing this, we're so loving to each other. He was always waiting on me. He was always doing this, and he would open the car door for me. And even when I'm late, he would say, "Oh, it's okay." And as soon as we got married, he wouldn't wait anymore. When I would be late, he's gonna complain. And so he's like, yeah. So he's asked her, what happened? He said, we got married, that's what happened.
After the wedding comes the marriage, that's for sure.
But the thing is, again, some things don't have to change from dating to marriage, but some things will. And that's life, right?
Yeah, some will.
So we'll be disappointed. There's always that point where disappointments will come, but how you deal with it. And sometimes it's about being happy when your expectations are met, like Sam's expectations were met. My expectations, some of them were met, some were not. So marriage is about that. You're disappointed, you work on it, and you're happy, that's fine.
I think we should be careful about whether expectations are met or not. Partly because things change, right?
Yeah.
There were two of you, now a child is there, another child is there, now it changes everything. So expectation, even though you're expecting it to change at 100 degrees, you are now at 80 degrees. There are two little kids or twins in the marriage. So what you're expecting for 100% may have to change. So as long as you respectfully and mutually roll with the time to make your marriage better, the expectations of yesterday are dead. Exactly. It's the expectation of today and tomorrow that matters, right? Because if we got married and say, we're all going to get our PhDs, as soon as we get married and then we have children and stuff like that, we may have to adjust those things. They're not met, but it's not a failure really, because there's a different vision.
And I think communication is so important too. We're communicating our expectations and we're looking at it together, adjusting it, managing it, knowing that, just like you said, Yinka, that now when this is the reality of it.
Yes.
So whether our expectations are met or not, that's not what makes the marriage stand. The important thing is that we're adjusting appropriately. We're talking about it. And we are giving ourselves each other understanding.
That's right.
That will really...
Especially for us who are in this diaspora, right? Because when you're in Nigeria, there are things you planned. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. And then one of you is to move to some other place and there's a decision to be made, and you have to, maybe you are going to be bank manager somewhere, but now you're going to go to a country where you won't even have a job, I think it's part of, like you said, adjusting things, facing the reality of it, and but at the end, if the relationship is good and is improving, well, it's like the failures of yesterday. Because I failed primary 6, it was a failure then, but it doesn't matter in the realm of things now, right? Because I passed that stage.
Right. Yeah. So really, marriage is not about meeting each other's expectations. It's more about mutual respect, mutually respecting each other, adjusting to the seasons that you find yourselves in, and just supporting each other as much as you can. So your partner may not be able to meet your expectations as you know it, but when we come into that communication, good communication, we talk about things, we resolve issues and all that, we will be able to have a healthy marriage.
I have something else to say. Unfortunately, I think there should be one expectation that's always there. For my wife to be a good wife to me and a good mother to my children, and for me to be a good husband. You can define whatever good is, maybe a better husband and a better father to my kids.
Like you said, is by definition. Well, good is different from when you in definition to for everybody. So the good that you're looking for may not be what I can give, right? And so being good is good, but then again, it's if you define it and I can't do what you want,
but
in
that's
that
where
way.
that's where the understanding comes in, right?
We
Because
talk
like
about
you said,
it.
we talk about it, we do
Yeah.
whatever. Because sometimes even in our own lives, we want to do something,
Right.
but something happens, maybe illness, maybe accident. We can't achieve that.
Yeah.
The thing is that we can either die there because our dreams are dead, or we look at, oh, I can't do this now.
Alternatives, yeah.
So what can I do to
right.
go? We may have to change course, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, so let me look at some things from Prepare Enrich workbook on marriage, and we will discuss some of these expectations that some people have brought into the marriage.
Right.
Like the one I mentioned is actually on their list. So the first one here is that I want to talk about is we should live happily ever after with no major problems.
Ta-da, ta-da. That's Cinderella story.
But
Reserved for the quarters in Disney Island or Disneyland.
Yeah.
I think we need to be frank with ourselves here, brethren. Yeah, I think almost any and everybody will have that expectation, especially as you walk up towards your wedding. The kind of arrangements that we put in place, either culturally or through other influences, in getting ready for for the wedding,
Yeah.
which is only a one-day affair,
Exactly.
and marriage starts from that night. Puts you on a flight like, oh my goodness, it's going to be just smooth forever. I'm going to be in white. And when I do this one, when I dance, it just looks like so rosy like that, But the reality is, yes, that is good for the first day. Maybe okay for another week or month. But reality actually sets in from that night when you discover that a 30-year-old boy has just recently married a 25 or 26 years old lady. And the two of them from different backgrounds bring those 56 years of experience under the same roof from one night.
My.
It's going to be World War III immediately if there's no careful management of their expectations. So, but with the proper counseling, you shouldn't bring baggages of expectations into marriage without having them being pre-proofed, that is, reproved or refined in the course of counseling, to let you know that the marriage is a ministry of compromise. You can't have it all your own way, otherwise the ship or the boat or the plane will not fly in direction. That is why somebody has to be in charge. The person being in charge, anointed or appointed by God, is not meant to be the Lord of the Rings or Sergeant at Arms or RSM in the barracks. He's only being put in there just to maintain order. But there must still be mutual respect and understanding for both sides, to hear from each other and then to honor each other's input and contribution, and then come to a compromise on, okay, I think we should go this way. And if possible, align out one or two or three alternatives so that you can test, and as you drive that way, you soon get more and more used to each other and how to arrive at decision making. Thereby, you smoothen your expectations align with the two of you now, not just one person. So the idea
The
of
happily
Cinderella,
ever
happily ever
after.
after, I think let's just cancel it. If you have my advice, I say just take it away, because
the happy thing about the happy word about it is the issue, right? Where sometimes there will be sadness, sometimes there will be discouragement, sometimes there will be frustration, sometimes there will be all these things. And who says that there will be no major problems, right? Like problems come and go.
See, that's why I don't like the question very well, unfortunately.
It's not a question.
Or the statement.
It's a thought.
Because it says no major of course there'll be problems, right? But a major problem, what's a major problem?
Exactly.
Maybe I see a major problem as bankruptcy, there's a death in the family. But if we're arguing about mortgage, about why to buy a house, I think, like we said, in a relationship that you want to improve, you will talk about it, you will compromise where you need to compromise. And so this problem that will be major for some people, for Christian couples, should not be a major thing, because it will be a problem briefly, and then it will be solved. And if it means, like one of the things we discussed the other time, right, that sometimes you have to put it at rest, sleep over it for long, right? So when it's slept over, it's like a sleeping volcano, we know, but by the time you wake up and you decide in it, the volcano is gone, right? So that's why I said, and when it says happily ever after, this word happy, It's it's like I look at it from the Bible. Even though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. As a human being, of course, I will fear darkness and evil there. But as a Christian, there is a level of, I don't know how to put it. It's the same thing when something bad happens to a Christian, right? Or to Job. He was able to say at the end, I think I've heard of you, but now I see you. So he was still confident in the fact that all this is happening to him. He was confused, but he didn't lose his contact with God in some way. He didn't abuse God, right? And I think if you are in a position where things are happening to you, you are perplexed as a human being, but you trust in God, right? It gives you some level of contentment. You're not happy with what is happening, but people can say, "Oh, this happened to him, and he's still forgiving the guy who killed his son." It's I think
special peace.
Yeah, that peace is in a relationship. It does a lot to make it just kind of bearable. Even though it's
And can I just say that honestly, being happily ever after is because of problems. Because, when you, just like you said, when you had problems, it's good to have problems and issues in marriage.
Yes.
Because it actually comes to strengthen the relationship eventually. Because, you now know that, okay, I shouldn't go this far with my husband anymore. He can't take it, or she can't take this. So he puts you on a better pedestal to face, yourselves. So happily ever after with no major problems. No, it's not that there's no major problem that makes you happy, but that there are problems and you got over the problems and you talked about the problems and you sorted out the issues, and then you become happy. David said, "I'm happy that I had been afflicted because it has helped me to know how to teach those who will come in that route how not to go there."
Exactly.
So it's a good thing to have problems and to have issues in marriage. Otherwise, how do we exercise our muscles? How do we know the extent to which we can be stretched
and build up
all that, and build up testimonies? So,
sometimes I look at it this way, that trouble is like troubleshooting. When in a conference, you all troubleshoot. And somebody may say something. It's not about saying something stupid. It's just about, want to go to California. Somebody says, let's walk to California. Of course, we can walk to California. But if you want to do something in 2 days, it's not a good way to walk. What it suggests is not foolish. It's just that it's not practical at this time, And I see trouble as that. Contradictions like that. The other way I look at it is, in medicine, they say that you have informed consent. Right? Informed consent means they tell you that this surgery is going to be good for you, but they also tell you the bad that can come out of it. So sometimes in a relationship, the fact that somebody mentions something and somebody seems to counteract it, I think it actually makes it stronger because like informed consent, and then both of you can agree that, okay, this is what we're going to do, or we're not going to do that, right? So
absolutely.
Communication.
Awesome.
Let's look at another common fantasy that couples bring. Less romance means we have less love for one another.
Less romance equals.
What's romance?
Yeah,
about?
Two keywords there. Romance and love. This will be defined so that I can understand.
How do you want to define romance?
I think so. Romance sometimes appears as if you are doing something extra special for the good of your spouse. Romance, or you bought a flower today. It's taking you out of the ordinary because you come from work, you just sit at home. But now you say, well, let's go for a meal, let's go for a dinner. Or usually when I come from work, I don't bring anything. But today I brought a bunch of a bouquet of flowers. So that would be romantic.
That would be nice.
That's romantic.
So noted.
But at the same time, it also depends on what's the question again?
It's not
less romance.
Less romance.
So, but it doesn't mean I don't love my wife the day I don't bring flowers. I may have a bad job at work that I just want to crash, right? It doesn't mean I don't love her. So that's why it's important for us to occasionally say, I love you.
That's a good one. That's a good
Yeah, and I think romance is defined by different people to whatever it means to you, right? Somebody might, maybe romance for me may be because you've touched me, you've rubbed my back, you've spoken to me, or you've asked me what is happening before you begin to. Because I remember when we were dating, I just wondered that there are certain questions that you should be asking. I mean, for me, I'm talking from the point of view of a woman. That you should ask a woman. Now you're not asking those questions. It looks to me like it's not romantic enough, you know. So we all have different definitions of what romance is to us. So less romance mean less love. Yeah, it will almost be if I'm not being.
So you want your back to be rubbed every day and every time?
Well, but
Pray for me.
but at least. Yeah, I just, how do I feel love? Maybe it's coming to that. Right?
I think it's coming
right,
to,
that's
so
right.
the romance definition now is,
Yes.
and I think this is very key that even if possible, and it should be possible, not if,
It is.
before marriage, find some of these basic things out from each other as dating spouses or spouses in courtship. What makes you feel romantic?
Loved.
What makes you feel loved? So, because definitions vary seriously. Honestly, if I tell you that in an archaic environment, romance means just having, just romancing each other, caressing and kissing and just rubbing each other. So I say, is that romance?
24 hours.
For how long will I do that one to satisfy anybody? And then somebody tells me, no, just buy me a bouquet of flowers. Flowers? So, there is no alarm, there is no surprise about whatever option. The issue is just to get to know what makes you feel
Talk about it. Tell the other
romantic.
person, this
makes
is
you
what I
feel
like.
Loved.
This is what I enjoy.
Well, I think it boils down, apart from the romance, it boils down to the understanding of the couple. Because imagine if we just had a thief and she likes chocolate and I go and bring chocolate. She may take the chocolate and say, after you've annoyed me, now you are bringing chocolate.
Exactly.
What's the chocolate for?
Exactly.
Even though I want to be romantic. It's like, you haven't said sorry and you're bringing a box of chocolate, you know? So I think it's understanding between the couple, you know, that to know that I got your back and you got my back.
Yeah, so love language is one. Of course, the prerequisite before you start applying love language is another thing. That's what the points you're trying to bring out. Don't think that you can go and use Peter or rob Peter to come and pay Paul. So I've already offended this lady, so what can I do? I know she likes flowers. Then just go and bring flowers.
Yeah, the thing about that too is that when you know you have offended, talk about the offense.
Exactly. So
Discuss
the prerequisite to applying love
conflict.
language, discuss the issues,
Yeah.
resolve the
Because you
hearts.
can't do love language without
When there's a hot on
resolving,
ground.
Issues.
Yeah.
Okay, so happily ever after with no problem is a fantasy.
Exactly.
The next one, romance means less love is also a fantasy.
Learn each other's love language.
The next one that we want to look at is we will do things just like my family did. Just like my
It's
family did.
impossible.
Very
It's not
possible.
going to happen.
It won't happen.
Yeah, because like you said, 30-year-old
Different
man,
families.
26-year-old lady, you've been set in some ways.
Yes.
So I can't come and say you have to do it my way, or you come and say you have to do it my way. We have to come to the middle. We have to come to compromise, like you said. Okay, this is what we do. I can't take what you do from you. I can't change you, but I can manage myself. I can change myself, and then we come to the middle and agree on how we want to do this, not the way my family does it. That is, there's no right or wrong.
I think my family lived 30 years ago. It's different now. That's number one.
Exactly.
But you see, I heard an interesting story about marriage that I'm sure you've heard before, about a lady who, when she cooks a turkey, cuts it into half. But in the husband's house, they always cook the turkey full. And so the husband, it was causing so much friction for them. The husband was angry that he's not doing it like they did at home. And when they got to the counselor said, have you ever asked her why she's doing that? The girl said, well, that's how my mom used to cook. Wow. And then said, did you ask your mom why she cooks that way? So she went and asked the mom. They didn't have a pot when she was growing up big enough for a turkey. That's why they cut into two. That's why it's important that you need to ask some questions sometimes. Yeah. A little question can solve a lot of problems, you know? So
Yeah.
One of the questions that we always ask is, what do you mean by that?
Exactly.
There's no need to assume, presume, or
That's right.
whatever. Even if you think you know what that person is saying, still ask,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Because it may mean something else to you.
Exactly.
It may mean something else to me. It may bring me a different message, and it could be different from what he's saying. So what do you mean? What
Yeah.
are you
It's
really
important.
saying?
It's important.
Okay, let's look at the next one because of time. It is better to keep silent about something bothering me than to cause unnecessary problems in our relationship. It's better to be quiet.
What is unnecessary problem?
I'd like to bring
Or even if you don't use unnecessary, just say problems.
challenges.
Well, I think people, some people will say that, well, if I bring up this issue now, it's going to cause a problem.
Yeah, it
Or
will
it could
cause
cause
argument.
a big argument
Yeah.
or a row or something. So you know what? It's better to keep it, to not say anything. But is that helping? Absolutely not.
Exactly.
Because whatever you have not spoken doesn't die. It would just be there, buried, alive. And one day it's going to be exhumed because it will get to a point where it will be too much and it will definitely just explode like a huge
That's right.
eruption,
That's right.
a volcanic eruption. So this is also a fantasy. So
No, let's be
keep
careful.
talking.
If that mindset or thought is coming from the angle of, let's take a look at the scriptures. Proverbs 26, verses 4 and 5. Answer not a fool in his language, otherwise they will think that you also was a fool. And immediately in the next verse, say, no. Answer a fool right in his language, otherwise he might think that he's very smart and that you are the fool.
Exactly.
So you start wondering which verse is correct. No, both of them are right. They are only calling for wisdom to manage the timing and the issue. So
Exactly.
if that person surveys and says, if I talk now on this matter, it might accelerate other pre-existing issues
Yeah.
and thereby lead us to eruption or World War III. So wisdom may dictate, hold the shots
Yeah.
firing for now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe by weekend
Yeah.
or tomorrow or whatever, find another suitable environment and say, darling, please can we talk?
Yes.
That thing that happened and so and so, then you narrate. And the guy might have a better and more positive reception
Yes.
Yeah.
at that time, and issues can be resolved. So if it's from the point of view of wisdom to address, it's okay.
It's okay.
But very factual to know that there is no issue that is buried. They are only hiding in there. I can never
waiting.
forget 2011 when she spoke before the whole public, how I offended her 23 years before that time, and I just said, Lord have mercy.
Yes.
And she quoted what I was wearing, where I was standing, and I had no memory for any of all those ones. But the moment I just say, I'm sorry, both the records and the offense and everything just wiped off, erased.
Yeah.
And I just say, Father, have mercy upon all of us together. So,
Okay.
In this kind of cases, the funny thing for me is that sometimes the person who did something, who is accused of doing something, may not actually mean it the way they see it.
That's correct.
I always give an example. If I can crack a joke with 10 of my friends and they took it okay, and I crack a joke with one other person and they say, I don't like it, part of my respect is, okay, you don't like it, I won't crack that joke with you. Rather than say, 20 of my friends agreed with it, so why don't you agree with it? Because we are different,
Yes.
So, like you said, I think it's a question of timing, it's wisdom. So if it's going to cause more trouble at this particular time because he won't understand the situation is not good
Then you
enough,
call for timeout.
then you call it timeout and ask later. Because if you don't deal with it, if it's going to cause problem, it actually shows that it's a problem already.
is.
Because, and we've got to discuss it.
All right. I think you have the last word
Exactly.
because of time today. So yeah, it's we all bring all kinds of expectations to the marriage. This is where it is good to have good, sound counseling,
Before.
premarital and marital counseling, especially about what you're bringing, because sometimes what you're bringing to the relationship may just be like your
Baggage.
what you're known to be doing, you know, like you're doing this for many years and it's become part of you, and so you come to your marriage and you think, you know, the other person won't have that too. The other person also brought their own way of doing things. So it's good to have good counseling and be ready to communicate with respect, with boldness as well, and be ready to do good marriage as you grow.
Amen. That's cool.
That brings us to the end of today.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. And
Pleasure.
see you again next time. Thank you all.
Thank you too.
Thank you.